Councillor Martin Khan, another of the members for Histon and Impington.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, I'm Richard Williams. I'm the member for the Whittlesford ward.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Heather Williams. I represent the Maldens ward.
Thank you very much. And we have with us officers at the far end. We have Tom Chenery, who's going to be presenting to us as a case officer. And we have Rebecca. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Morning, I'm Rebecca Smith. I'm the delivery manager for the South Cambs.
Thank you. Next to me I've got Richard Pitt.
Morning members, I'm Richard Pitt from 3C Legal.
Thank you. And we've got our committee manager, Sarah Steed.
Morning, Sarah Steed, Democratic Services Officer.
Thank you very much. And Habs PC, who's producing the meeting. Thank you very much, everyone. Okay, so those in the chamber are reminded that the meeting's being live streamed, and by your presence here in the chamber and via video conferencing, you're deemed to have consented to being filmed and to the use of images and sound recordings for a webcast and archived recording. May I ask those who are joining us remotely to ensure that their camera and microphone remain off unless they're addressing the committee. And a reminder, members, that if anybody arrives after the start of an application or leaves the chamber once an application has commenced, they will not be able to take any further part in that application, either by entering into the debate, questions of clarification, or the vote. Just as a reminder, members, that there will be a fire alarm at 10:30 this morning. We know, so be aware. We move on to item 2. Sorry, that's a fire alarm test, I should say, of course. Item 2 is apologies. So, Sarah, could you tell us if there are any apologies, please?
Yes, Chair, we've had apologies from councillors Lisa Redrup and
Ariel Khan. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, so item 3 is declarations of interest. Please could any councillors advise if they have any declarations of interest and also identify which application their declaration relates to. Councillor Williams.
Just in relation to the appeals, the application in Litlington is in the nearby location of one of my husband's relatives, so I won't take part in the appeals section.
Okay, thank you.
Chair, I have a declaration of interest in relation to item 5 and will drop off the committee for that item.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bain. All right, if as the meeting proceeds you realise you might have an interest, please do raise it at that point. So we move on to the planning applications now, and I'll clarify the process for considering each planning application. So firstly, the case officer will give a brief introduction to the report. Then the committee may ask questions of clarification of the case officer. Then registered public speakers will be invited to speak. The committee may then ask questions of clarification, but those questions go to the case officer, and then the committee will debate, and public speakers are not permitted to take part in that debate. At the end of the debate and the conclusion of any questions, providing there's no alternative proposal, the officer recommendation will be read out, and I will request a proposer and seconder for the recommendation. We'll then vote, and if a recommendation falls, an alternative proposal must be made, which will require a seconder and must then be voted upon, and voting will be recorded. Now, before we move to the actual applications, just want to remind members we've received 2 supplements which were published on the website. One was issued on the 5th of January, which contains the compliance report, and the second was issued on the 12th of January, which relates to amendments relating to item 4, which is land north of Lyndhurst Station Road, Willingham. Longstanton, sorry. Okay, so just make sure you've got those and read them. So item 4 is 2504. Do we not have any minutes? No. Okay, right, that's good. So item 4 is 2504-209/8 S73, which is land north of Lyndhurst Station Road, Long Stanton, and that's being presented to us by Tom Chenery. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Chair. Morning, members. Just like to confirm that people can see my slides on the screen. Thank you. So the application before members today is land north of Lyndhurst Station Road in Long Stanton. It's a section 73 variation to condition 2 of the approved plans. Previously consented application 22/05/055/full. There's quite a lot of amendments. Obviously, as per the description, I'm not going to read out the description because we'll be here all day. So I'll just move through. I have obviously throughout my presentation will highlight all of those changes. Officers are recommending approval. There's just a few verbal updates from myself. That was just that there's an amendment to the application description in the officer's report. In the officer's report, it didn't include that there was an additional window on the south elevation being included. That has been since included on the officer's report. And then paragraph 2.1, it did read south instead of north, so that has been changed. And then conditions 4 and 5 were originally seeking further details, but a discharge and condition application has been approved during the determination of this application. So those conditions now become compliance conditions. In terms of the site itself, members would be familiar because there's been a few applications on the whole site over the last couple of months, over the last year. But the site in itself is just this parcel on the furthest west, so access linking through. There's an existing dwelling house to the south here known as Lyndhurst. There's another dwelling here, and planning permission or outline planning permission has been granted for 4 dwellings to the rear here. But the application site itself is just this parcel. As indicated, planning permission has already been granted for a dwelling in this location, so the principle of development has already been accepted and agreed. So the matters before members today is just considering the variation between the 2 applications and this application. So I just thought it would be useful to take members through what has originally been consented on the plot. So it's a 2-storey dwelling within the site. Access is gained through just an access through here, which then links into the wider access for the wider site. And there is a garage or annex at the rear. And then obviously there's parking. The proposal is broadly similar, but is smaller in scale than what was previously consented. So there's been a reduced width, reduced depth, and there's been some other alterations in that sense. So this is the previously approved scheme. I will highlight the changes as well, just so it's clear for members. And then this is the I've said previously approved scheme. This is the proposed scheme, so apologies about that. This is the proposed scheme. So just in terms of the amendments, one of that is that the chimney is being removed on the northern elevation, as you can see is highlighted there. And then on the rear elevation, where there were 3 bifold doors, there is now 2 and then a picture window. And then in terms of the side elevation, as you can see that it's been slightly reduced in depth. This section here is slightly being amended in terms of its depth as well, because it's been reduced in depth. And then there's the addition of a southern obscurely glazed window. And obviously you can see the changes on the other aspects of it, especially with the removal of the chimney as well. There's also a slight amendment to the access in the sense that there is now gates within the frontage. All the other aspects regarding the access remain the same. The only aspect is that there is gates being added. Just thought I'd take some quick photos of the site. So this is just the frontage, so the dwelling would be located roughly where I'm indicating here. The new access would obviously be coming around through here and then would be open here. I do have photos of where that's going. Development has commenced on site, so the permission, the original permission is extant. Here's a photo of the site, so it was formerly garden land. Here's a photo of the access just through, down towards the rear. And here is just photos of the confirmation that works have commenced. So the wall has been demolished and services have been dug and provided onto the site. So there's been no objections from any statutory consultees. Willingham Parish Council have also commented in support. There were no third-party representations. In terms of the planning balance, officers are recommending approval. There's no harm to the character and appearance of the area, amenity and living conditions, and there's no highway safety implications. There's not considered to be any reasons for refusal, and officers are obviously recommending approval subject to conditions. The application is before members because the applicant is works for the council, so I thought we'd make that clear to members. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom. And just to confirm, members have previously visited this site relating to the earlier applications, haven't they? So many members will know the site. Thank you, Tom. Does anybody have any questions of clarification for the case officer? No? I had asked whether the introduction of an access into the driveway at its bell mouth made any difference to the visibility display. Do you want to answer that?
So the access itself is as existing and as approved. The only difference is that there's gates in that access, which obviously won't impact on any visibility.
Great, okay, thank you. And we can see that Willingham Parish Council had no objection to this. So let's just see. Here we've got. So we didn't have any questions, right? So we go on to public speakers then. So we've got Neil Harris from Willingham Parish Council, I think, attending virtually. Do we know if Neil is there?
There he is.
Oh, hello, Neil. Thank you very much for joining us.
That's okay. I was actually puzzled as to why this was being referred to the planning committee.
Neil, can I just clarify? It's coming back to the planning committee purely because it's a member of staff of the council. It's related to a member of staff, so it has to come back. I just want to check with you, if I may, that you have the permission of your parish council to speak on this matter?
Yes, they asked if I would speak on this.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much, Neil. So you've got 3 minutes, and I'm sure you're familiar with that, so do please go ahead.
Yes, I was surprised that we were actually asked to when we wanted to speak on this. We tried to find out what the reason for coming to the committee was. And obviously I understand now what the position is. We had originally objected to this scheme in 2017, and as did the planning committee when it went through on appeal. There was a revision in 2022, which we made no recommendation on. And on this scheme, which was also approved, and on this scheme, we recommended approval because it was smaller than the previous one. So we couldn't really make any complaints because it was already approved. So that's basically all we have to say at this stage. It was just a surprise that it was being called for your committee approval.
Thank you very much indeed. I think, Neil, it was simply a matter of courtesy to ask if you'd like to speak. So thank you very much for doing so. That's helpful. Okay, giving us a bit of the history. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so members. Would anybody like to start the debate? Councillor Khan.
I would simply comment that clearly you had the existing permission. I think the existing permission was a building which has no particular architectural merit, but not particular dismerit, but which is considered acceptable. This is smaller. This would seem to be even more acceptable, even if it's not of great merit itself. So I can't see any reason to refuse, personally.
Thank you. Councillor Dr. Richard Williams.
I would echo those comments, and I was going to suggest we move to approve. There are no objections to this application. I can't see any reason to not approve it swiftly.
Indeed, it seems, from my point of view, it seems a perfectly sensible, reasonable amendment and nothing to get worried about. So, and the officer has explained that all of the amendments are not, they don't have any implications on anything else. Councillor Dr. Timmy Hawkins.
Oh, thanks, Chair. Just to say, I'll second Councillor Williams'
Okay, good. Righto. So we've got a proposal for the officer recommendation and a seconder. So could we take a vote on that, please? Oh, sorry. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Just to clarify, the officer recommendations for approval as set out on page 13 of your agenda, but with amendments to conditions 4 and 5 as set out in the update report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. I'm so sorry for forgetting. Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. So, with those amendments in mind to conditions 4 and 5, can we go? Do we need to take a vote, or can we take this by affirmation? Do we need? If it's unanimous, I think it's by affirmation, isn't it? Yes, agreed. Lovely. Thank you very much indeed, everyone. So, thank you very much, Neil, for attending. And good to see you back at the planning committee. Oh, right. Thank you very much. Right. So the next item is item 5, which is 25/03992/FUL, which is 18 Woodlands Road in Great Shelford. And our case officer for this application is Karen Pell-Coggins, the senior planner, who is joining us online. Hello, Karen. Hi. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. So, yes, sorry? Can you see my presentation? Yes, thank you, we can. Thank you very much, Karen. So do proceed with your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. So as
Just one moment, Sarah. Your screen is being superimposed on the visual. It's Habs. Okay, thank you very much, Habs. Sorry, do carry on, Karen.
Okay.
pause a moment. We've got the fire alarm test. I hope this isn't real. That's a relief. That was a very long test. And for the members of the public, the lights carry on flashing for a bit, but it's okay. Thank you. Karen, sorry, do carry on. You were giving us a wonderful visualisation of Woodlands Road.
A little bit, so C category tree.
Karen, before you go on to your next slide, sorry, can I just ask how many more slides you have? This is not in an urge to rush you up or anything.
Sorry.
I'm just aware, I've just been advised that we've got no sound on the live stream. And so in the interests of public awareness, we might want to take a... Oh, it hasn't been on all meeting.
It started at the beginning,
Okay.
dropped out, and then it's dropped out.
It's dropped out. Okay. So the question, can I just ask from a public awareness point of view and for the recording, is the advice that we pause, sorry Karen, and just have a few minutes check with audio to see if we can get it to run?
So it's picking up what's going on in the room, it's not picking up
Karen.
Teams and Karen. Yeah.
Okay, so, oh, that's a shame. So it's picking up us, but not Karen. That must be a rather quiet section of a meeting then. Can I ask, I think we ought to try and get it because Karen's information is important. Karen, would you, can I just ask how many more slides you've got?
I think there's about 5 or 6. So I'm happy to vote.
Okay, I think it would be, now that we know, I think it would be appropriate to pause a moment if we could. Sorry to stop you in mid-flow, and just see if we can pick up your lovely voice on the Teams meeting. So it's 10:39. If we can, let's assume 10 minutes, 10:49, if people want to take a pause, and we'll try and get this back up. So if you can be back here by 10:49. Thank you so much, Karen, and we'll try and get you linked up. Could you take... So this is just a test to see if, hello Karen again, we're still trying to work out if we can sort out the audio, and I think we've just got through to the audio people, but for the time being, we're just trying it with one other microphone on in the room. Could you just say something like, you know, happy birthday or something, just to see if we can hear you on the audio for the Teams meeting, which will then go on to the recording.
Yes. Hello, members. Key planning considerations are principle of development, etc.
So we want to know if anybody could hear that on the YouTube channel, don't we?
There's a delay, so just, sorry, bear with me. You can.
You can. Good. Okay. Good idea. Right. So we'll just leave Councillor Fane's microphone on then. Right. Can we get? Are we live then? We are live. Okay. So apologies for that sort of tech pause, but Karen, would you like to proceed from where you had stopped with your presentation? Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Chair. So just moving on, so the key planning considerations in relation to this application are the principle of development, the impact of the development upon the character and appearance of the area and design considerations, heritage assets, trees, biodiversity, highway safety and parking, flood risk and drainage, residential amenities, sustainability and other matters. The main consideration in this application relates to heritage assets. I've just set out this policy just sets out this slide really sets out the relevant policy. So what we're looking at is section 72 of the Conservation Areas and Buildings Act 1990, the other properties along Woodlands Road. And then the proposed new dwelling will also result in less than substantial harm because it's of a significance to bear on more dominant presence on the plot and street and lots of the low density setting. However, planning officers have come to a different view. So the officer's view is that there is no harm which complies with paragraph 215 of the NPPF, and therefore public benefits do not need to outweigh the harm to heritage assets. Notwithstanding that, there is some public benefits in the form of the provision of a self-built and net zero carbon home in a sustainable location. So in terms of the loss of the existing dwelling, we consider there to be no harm. It is unfortunate loss of the conservation area with some historic and architectural merit and root value. It's local interest only though, and it's not identified as a non-designated heritage asset. And the proposed new dwelling is also no harm. We do acknowledge that it would be a less spacious layout and more dominant scale, but in terms of the overall character and appearance of the conservation area along Woodlands Road, it is considered acceptable. So, moving on. So, in terms of the planning balance, the proposal, the benefits in favour of the proposal are the provision of one self-built dwelling in a sustainable location and provision of the net zero carbon dwelling, which is above our policy requirements. We obviously officers don't consider today be any harm, but that does have to be balanced against potential harm to the significance of heritage assets. Overall, the officer recommendation is on balance one approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen, and can I particularly thank you for giving us all of those photographs of the street scene, which I think are important in this location. It's very much part of its character area, isn't it? Thank you. So, does anybody have any questions of clarification for the case officer? Councillor Rickson? And then Councillor Sandford. Now, bear with me on this because I just need... I'm going to be keeping a list. And Councillor Wilson, thank you very much. Okay, go ahead. You know who you are. If anybody else wants to put their hand up, that's fine, but we'll take them in turn. So, Councillor Rickson.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks, Karen, for the presentation. My question is, in the sustainability statement, it refers to solar panels, the 33 solar panels on southwest roofs, and it gives an indicative location on the roofs within that report, but I can't see them on any drawings that you presented, and I just wondered if they were located on the drawings and somewhere that we could see.
No, they're not on the drawings. So it's normally a condition which is set out in the report to achieve the details of the renewable energy features.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. That answers my question.
Thank you. So, Councillor Dr. Martin Khan. Oh, okay. Sorry, Peter Sandford. Sorry, apologies.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Karen, for the presentation. The third-party comments variously describe the existing property as vacant, derelict, and in poor state of repair. Appreciate this is fairly arbitrary, but what is your assessment of the state of the current property?
And my view is it's not of a state that sort of it's not structurally unsound in terms of, you know, it's not required to be demolished. Yeah, it's in a reasonable state, I would say.
Good enough, thank you.
Yes, sorry.
That's okay.
Right, and Councillor Eileen Wilson, thank you.
Thank you. My question is very similar to Councillor Sanford. Reading the description of the current property, I would like it confirmed that the proposed property would be more fuel efficient than the current property. And would it be possible, in your opinion, I know that's going to be a bit subjective, whether the current property could be brought up to a similar standard in terms of fuel economy? Thank you.
Karen?
So, in terms of the energy efficiency, I believe this is going to be 80% more efficient than the existing dwelling. It is set out in the sustainability section of the report. I mean, our key consideration here is the impact of the development on the conservation area. So, potentially, I believe work could be done to bring it up to a certain standard, but what we have to consider is the overall impact of the development on the conservation area. It's not considered, and I think I've set this out in the report, that the various issues with the property would justify demolition. We have to, our key considerations really are what is the actual impact on the conservation of the whole development as such.
Thank you very much, Karen. Councillor Dr. Martin Carr.
Sorry, now I'll come in on question. The existing property is described as of arts and crafts style. How significant is this description of it? How accurate is it? How much is it just a building with a few arts and crafts features, or is the whole building designed by one of the more significant architects in this style?
I don't know sort of the precise details, but there are a number of arts and crafts style properties along Woodlands Road of varying different designs. I'm not aware that it has been designed by any specific architect. If it had been, then it may be designated as may be listed as identified as a non-designated heritage asset, but it hasn't been.
Okay, thank you very much, Karen. And indeed, my question related to what degree this could be assigned as an arts and crafts style house, or whether it was just in that vernacular, as it were. And also what, yeah, okay, I'll leave it there. Thank you. I can't see any other questions of clarification for the case officer. Just one other thing on the trees. You said that the only tree that was going to be removed was at the rear, and that was a relatively insignificant tree, and one of them was near the little brick shed. But the trees that looked quite as if they impinged on the site were actually in neighbouring properties, so that would be canopy work to trim them up, wasn't it?
Yeah, one tree is in the neighbouring property, a number of the other trees, that they would be retained, the trees along the side boundaries, yes. The main trees with some works to those trees.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Right, okay, so we've gone through that. So then we've got two registered speakers. We have the applicant attending in person, Stephen Ward, and we've got some images that we're hoping to display, Karen, while Stephen is speaking, and then after that we have Councillor Fain as local member. Okay, so would you like to come to the microphone, Stephen? Mr. Ward, sorry. Okay, thank you. So you're speaking on behalf of the applicant, aren't you? So you have 3 minutes. Can I just ask sorry, who's driving is it Karen who's driving the images? Right. Karen, are you ready? That's it? Oh, that's just it?
We've
Right,
kept it
okay.
simple, just the one slide, so we don't have to.
Okay, so you've got 3 minutes then. Please do speak to us.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and thank you to the committee members for your time. My wife and I are very much hoping to bring back to life this long vacant site by constructing a highly sustainable home, not only for our young and growing family, but one also able to accommodate my elderly parents who live some distance away. We are delighted to have unanimous support from local residents, 13 of whom who have written formally, including both immediate neighbours and those directly opposite, as well as active support from the parish council, who felt strongly enough to request this application be considered here in case officers were minded not to approve it, and ultimately support from officers with their recommendation from approval. We are very grateful to all. While the Conservation Officer's comments are acknowledged, we are pleased to see them now weighed in the context of the wider planning balance. We believe the benefits of this self-build would far exceed any benefits of retaining and possibly extending the existing dwelling, most notably from the significantly improved energy performance achieved by the net zero carbon design. It is clear that nothing like this could be achieved by attempting to retrofit the existing building, even if the best possible measures were taken. Such action would not only be expensive and difficult to implement, but would also inevitably further degrade any character of the building and compromise the layout. There are differing views on the intrinsic value of the existing building. Independent heritage consultants Turley comment that it is, quote, of limited architectural merit, with the original design having subsequently been eroded by later extensions and alterations. Added to this, it is in a poor state of repair and has been uninhabited for a considerable length of time now, stretching back to the period of previous ownership. Particular value was attached by the Conservation Officer to the existing building as part of a group of similarly designed adjacent properties, 12, 14, 16, 18 and 20. But there has already been significant development at this group at number 20 and number 14, and in particular at number 12, which is a new build, having been the previous building having been demolished. Moreover, there has been other significant development since the conservation area was extended in 2007, including most notably the demolition and rebuilding of number 21 and number 26. We have engaged fully with officers via an extensive pre-application process, refining the design in light of recommendations around style, form, size and materials. The result is a house broadly in the arts and crafts style, drawing on a range of features from both the existing property and those in the immediate vicinity. The new building would sit more centrally on the plot, coming away from the western boundary, thereby guarding against future root encroachment from mature trees there, while still measuring 7 metres from the eastern boundary, making for a lower density and less visually dominating appearance than many other properties on the road. And a few examples are given on the screen. There are many others of houses that occupy full width of their plot in a more dominant fashion, including a couple here that are more than twice or virtually twice the size of the house we're proposing. The case officer confirms that the development is acceptable in principle in policy terms, and that the siting, scale, design and materials of the new dwelling would preserve and in many ways positively contribute to the character and appearance of the conservation area in 1311 of the report. We very much hope the committee will agree with officers, local residents, the parish council in supporting this proposal.
Thank you very much for keeping to your 3 minutes. Okay. Now, has anything that Mr. Ward said raised any questions that you want to ask of Ms. Pell-Coggins? No? Okay. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank
you. If
you.
you'd like to turn your microphone off, and then we'll have the local member to speak. Thank you. Just before we go to Councillor Fane, do feel free to sit down. I believe, Karen, you might have some text from the parish council?
No, we should address that part.
Okay, right, that's fine. So, Councillor Fane. Thank you. So, you're speaking as local member. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I dropped out of your committee for this item because although I haven't made a public statement about it, I have been in contact with the applicants for just about a year now. My original contact was because a number of the residents, neighbouring residents in Woodlands Road, who are very protective of their conservation area, contacted me. They were concerned that the house had already been empty for a substantial period, and that it was, as Karen Pell-Coggins said, is not derelict, and indeed the applicants have, I believe, taken steps to keep it heated, for instance. but it is not in very good state. And I think it's been empty now for over 2.5 years. Now, during this period, there have been, as the applicant stated, a number of pre-application discussions, and the advice of officers has, as I can see, been very much taken into account. Mr. and Mrs. Ward, as was mentioned, have plans for a family home for themselves and dependent relatives, but they are particularly concerned that it should be highly sustainable. And this has been my view for some time, that energy conservation should be one of the factors we consider including in conservation areas. It is, I believe, rightly a high priority. In simple terms, the current development, the current house is EPC F. The new house would be EPC A, a score of 100. It could, of course, be that the existing house could be improved, but it would be very difficult, in my experience as a surveyor, including an energy surveyor, to improve it to the standards now proposed. For instance, the foundations would have to be tackled. The existing building is single brick with pebble dash. Some of the features, some of the obvious ways of improving it, not available within a conservation area. So I think that the question that arises is, would the proposed new house enhance the conservation area? It is, in my judgment, very compatible with the existing houses in the road, including the new and improved houses there already. And I think, in my view, it would enhance the conservation area. I take very seriously the supportive letters from both the immediate neighbours and the parish council themselves. And I would support this application and hope that your committee will decide to do that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Fane. Has anything Councillor Fane raised, a question that you might want to ask to Karen Pell-Coggins? Thank you, Councillor Rixton.
Thank you, Chair. It was just, I think it's been mentioned a couple of times, and Councillor Fane has touched on it, about net zero carbon. I just wanted to ask Karen, that metric or with being presented, is that's net zero carbon in operational terms? It's not referring to the embodied carbon, is that correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Right, okay, so I think we're then now into debate. Nobody's speaking, so I'll start off then. My observation is that this is, I'm particularly grateful to Karen for giving us those, an extensive view of what Woodlands Road is like, because clearly it has a character, but within that, some of the houses that were originally built, and Mr. Ward mentioned these, have already been amended and adjusted, and there have been new builds in it, but all of it has, broadly speaking, been in keeping with the general character of the area. And in my view, this new build does that too. I think the current house is attractive and quite modest compared to the others, but I can see that from a sustainability point of view, it would be quite hard. I did look quite hard at the damp report and thought, that's going to be quite tricky to repair all of that in a viable way. So when we're thinking about the balance of the loss of the old and the loss of that house to the character of the area, yes, there is a loss there, and it's a modest house. But the new house is not as big as some of the others on the street. What I was concerned about was it might appear more dominant. It will a little because it's a bigger property, but it's not further forward in the plot. And I think on balance, my feeling is it's a good design of replacement, and certainly from its sustainability point of view, it looks quite acceptable. So I think this is quite a good solution to a tricky problem. Does anybody else wish to speak? Councillor Dr. Richard Williams.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a very well designed proposal. I think the new house is very much in keeping with that area. I know that area a little bit. It's got a variety of styles of houses. They're all actually very nicely designed, the new ones, and I think this one would certainly fit in with that. I don't think there's huge benefit or architectural merit to the existing house. So I would be very much in favour of approving this application. I really can't see any reason not to approve it.
Councillor Martin Khan.
My comment will be rather similar. I think the existing building has some nice features, but it's clearly not of a sufficient standard to be allocated as a local heritage asset. It's the new dwelling has features reminiscent of other new buildings built on the area. It's not built, it's bigger, but not over dominant. The key interest, I think, of the conservation area is really the low density, very green nature of it, and that wouldn't really be affected. So, and you will have the benefit of improved energy performance, and a self-build dwelling, which are features which we are trying to achieve through our local planning. So in that sense, it seems to me that the recommendation is the correct one.
One other point I just wanted to raise was, as you heard from the comments, if in the case that we might approve this, I just wanted to check about construction, because Woodlands Road is a private road. I believe it is two-way, but it's quite narrow, and it's obviously being maintained by the residents of Woodlands Road. So I'm mindful of the weight of traffic that might go in there for both demolition and disposal. I wondered if we might require, and I don't think there is one there, in a construction management plan that requires a pre-construction survey of the road and then a post-construction condition survey, so that the road can be restored to the current state at the end of the construction, if members agree with that need. I just think it's quite a vulnerable road there, and it's being paid for by the residents, so just wondered what members thought about that. Does that seem reasonable? Do you want to speak? Councillor Heather Williams.
I have no issues with what you've said, Chair. I just want to say as well, it's very rare to have such a sort of supported, I appreciate conservation have different views, but overall, a self-build, normally we're having to do what we don't want to do. On here, there is significant support, and I can't see any reason why we would not respect the views of those locally.
Yes, thank you. Councillor Dr. Timmy Hawkins.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, the only objection we had was from the conservation officer, and I've actually had a look at the MPPF.
Sorry,
I've had a look at the MPPF paragraph that was referred to, and our own policies. And I must say, I guess it's probably a kind of balance, but I can see that as far as our policy HQ1 goes, it is of high design, what's been proposed in this application. And
sorry, can I just check with you? This is about heritage, is it?
yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Well,
I mean,
the reason for the objection is paragraph 215 MPPF.
Thank you.
And then the conclusion was it is then against HQ1 and NH14 of my policies. All right? Which is why I've gone to HQ1. And I'm looking at, 1A, 1B, 1C. I'll just stop there.
Yes.
And as far as I'm concerned, it includes a variety and interest. It's responsive design. And it does create a positive sense of place compared to what is there now. And if we look at NH14, if I can quickly go to that one, whilst the harm is less than substantial, the benefit, as far as I'm concerned, outweighs that harm. And on that basis, for me, I will be supporting this application.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak? Right, let's go to Councillor Sandford and then Councillor Rickson.
Thank you, Chair. I'm churning in my mind your suggestion about repairs to the Woodlands Road survey before and after. I'd like to hear officers' views, but I think there could be a danger you could get into a neighbourhood dispute that the existing residents want everything repaired and say it's because of the development.
No, but that's why you do a pre-condition survey.
Right, and who would that be agreed by? I'd like to hear the officers' views whether that's feasible.
Karen, would you be able to comment on that?
So in terms of the condition, it needs to be obviously necessary and reasonable to require a condition survey in relation to the application and meet the tests of the 6 condition tests. We wouldn't be able to consult with the local highways authority officially because it's not a public highway, but obviously we can take officers' views and have an informal discussion with the local highways authority as to obviously the impact of that condition from the road, you know, from the pre-condition survey and post-condition survey. But yeah, if you consider that it's reasonably required.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Karen. Right, so is this, can we just stick on this for the moment? Yes, Councillor?
On that context, I wondered whether one can impose a condition which would require work to be taken off the site of the application, because the road is not actually within the application site and is not owned by the applicant. I just wondered on the legal point of view, and I wanted to ask that question.
I think that what I'm saying is that in order to bring materials and to do demolition and to take materials away, they will go along Woodlands Road, which is a privately maintained
I understand that
yes,
completely,
but
I wondered about the legal side of it, and it may be that it would have to be done by, for instance, a unilateral undertaking rather than a condition. It's just a question.
Okay.
Question of legal.
Okay. I'd like to ask the advice of Rebecca Smith, but you're deep in conversation. Councillor Rickson, was your question on this as well? Different issue.
It's not on this, it's just a bit, so I'll wait until this is tidied
Can I
up.
take Rebecca's advice on this matter? It's, you know, I'm just suggesting it because it's a privately maintained road, and I'm just wondering.
We don't have a condition at present recommended in terms of a construction management plan. Officers have put a condition on, which is number 16, in relation to construction-related deliveries and timings of which they are dispatched to and from, taken and dispatched from the site. However, if members are minded to add a construction management plan, I think in terms of the fact that it's a new dwelling, that would be a reasonable addition. If members have concerns, which I don't believe the local highways authority have raised concerns, however,
because it's a private road, would they?
However, if members do have concerns in regard to the state of the road as such, then I think we could consider it to be reasonable. However, it would be simply a photographic pre-construction survey that wouldn't be consulted upon. It would just need to be submitted. Post-construction survey, again, would be photographic, but however, the applicant may need to do some further works with a highways engineer to submit or to assess the state of the road. However, as you've outlined, it's a private road. We could ask the highways authority if they will give us assistance, but at the end of the day, the planning officer would be looking at two sets of photos to see if they align.
Would they have the power to request improvements to the previous standard if they felt it wasn't, if there were holes or dips or trenches that had...
If you'd put that in the condition. So the condition would need to be worded such that the road has to be reinstated to what it was on the pre-construction survey.
Councillor, is this on the...
It is on this point, Chair. I think we're maybe in danger of distracting ourselves here. Nobody's raised a question about the state of the road. None of the neighbours have done so. None of the statutory consultees have done so. So I don't really know why we would impose this condition on the basis of no concern expressed by anybody at all. So I would not be in favour of adding in conditions which are not resulting from any evidence before us.
Or requests. I take your point. So, can I just ask, I mean, I'm quite happy to withdraw that suggestion. Yeah, you're happy that I withdraw that? Great, I'll withdraw that suggestion then. Okay, Councillor Rickson, would you like to go with your question?
Lovely. Yeah, no, it's not necessarily as a question. I think I'm happy that we tidied up about the road access and reinstatement. It was more just comment on the application in the debate. So I think because what we've got in front of us is an application for a large family home. There's been a fair bit of discussion about the sustainability of it and the merits of that and the difficulties with the existing property. I'd say the existing property is not dilapidated and it's not structurally unsound. So I think it could. There's no reason why it couldn't be brought up to a standard that's livable and usable now, particularly on the energy efficiency side of things. But I don't think that's necessarily the issue because the applicants clearly have an ambition to have a larger family home. I think the square meterage is triple in size from the existing, so to be able to alter and adapt the existing to achieve that home that they want, I think would look significantly poorer than what is proposed as a new property in terms of how it is massed and how it's designed on the site. So I think that would be the struggle there, to be able to build a home of the size that they would that they desire, whilst including that existing property. My other issue, I guess, there's also a lot of discussion about net zero carbon. That is when we're discussing that is qualified by Karen. That is net zero operational carbon. So it's the amount of carbon required to heat and run the building is equal or less than what could be produced by this on site. Again, that doesn't cover the embodied carbon that's associated with the demolition of the existing property and then construction of the much larger property. So from a sustainability side of things, I think it is important to consider that, but it's not. There's not policies that address embodied carbon at the moment. So from a planning side of things, that's not technically something to be brought on. But I find it is, when we're championing sustainability, I think it's also very sensible to be aware of that. So with that in mind as well, then what we're looking at is the impact on the conservation area, and I think colleagues and councillors have covered that particularly well, and I would be in support of this application.
Thank you. Okay, I can't see any other requests to speak. So, Becca, shall we come to you?
Thank you, Chair. So officer recommendation is to approve as set out on page 43 of your agenda, subject to the conditions set out in the report.
Okay.
Thank you.
don't think I heard anybody saying they objected to this, so can I take this by affirmation? Oh, well, okay, proposer, James, and a seconder, Councillor Richard Williams. So can we take this by affirmation, members, for approval? Agreed. Lovely. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Mr. Ward, for attending. That's been very helpful to us. And thank you, Karen Pell-Coggins, for your presentation. Members, we've just got a few more items on the agenda. We have the... Hang on, where are we? The compliance report, which we received on the 5th, I think, of January. And remember, because of the nature of the work involved in this, I think it's really just for our information. If people have any questions that they wish to take back to compliance, please do. But does anybody have anything? Yes, Councillor Heather Williams? Oh, sorry, Chris is here. So let's have the officer report. Sorry, thank you. Thank you. Chris Braybrook, do you want to present to us? Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Yes, just a quick update this month. So on the 2nd of January, when wrote the report, there were 454 open compliance cases for the team, with 300 of them within South Cambridgeshire. Just an update on 1st of January to the 31st of December. We received a total of 667 compliance referrals, slightly down by around 35 cases on the previous year, but still at a similar level. Some of that will be duplicates, where the team have tried to avoid duplicate cases being opened up for the same which has been reported. So the compliance team and our admin teams have spent some time trying to resolve those issues around duplicates. Obviously, the statistical data is provided in the annexes. In terms of a service update, currently I have a vacant post, but we're still carrying on to make sure that case files are visited and reviewed in a timely manner. And going on from that, I would say that our category Bs, this time around we've been visited within 100% of our target of 10 days, and our category Cs were visited within over 98% within the 20 days, and on average it was only a few days from officers receiving those referrals to them actually visiting. So there's a marked improvement now that we were hoping to achieve since I last reported to the committee. And that's the update, really, to be honest, like you say, in terms of everything else. It fits in the report. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Chris. And I think just before we have any questions, I just wanted to say thank you to you and the staff. It's an enormous amount of work that you do, often in quite difficult and stressful circumstances. So I really appreciate the work that the team is doing on compliance cases, because they are many and varied, and I guess every single one has a different nuance to it. And I know our officers are very experienced in handling that, so I appreciate your time and attention on that. Councillor Martin Khan?
Not actually to do with compliance, it's to do with the appeals, which I didn't have a chance to comment on.
To do with, that's the next report.
I think so,
So,
okay.
we can call you back in on
Got
that.
the order wrong.
Okay, so
Oh, yeah,
Councillor
sorry,
Heather
okay.
Williams?
Thank you, Chair, and I echo your comments, Chair, in relation to the work of the team. Particularly my neck of the woods has had a lot of requirement for planning compliance, or enforcement as I like to call it, recently, so I do appreciate the efforts there. My question relates to page 3, because that sort of sets out the structure, but I have become aware, as you I'm sure will know, that, and as other members will know, that the enforcement or compliance team is being restructured, and that involves a redundancy. So I have had conflicting reports from officers, some that the same amount of officers will still be in place despite somebody being made redundant. And then I've also heard that there'll be a reduction in the amount of officers. So could I ask, this here on page 3, is that the current structure or is it the proposed structure? And could we as a committee be given the new structure and the current structure so that we can actually see side by side and get some clarity as to what the situation is? Thank you, Chair.
I'll take that one.
Before we go any further, can I ask Councillor Martin Khan to turn his microphone off, please?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
I'll take that one because I'm the one that's been doing the restructure in the compliance service. There are exactly the same number of posts in the new structure as there are in the existing structure.
Could we see the breakdown of the new structure?
Once it goes live, yes.
Okay.
It's not implemented as yet. Once it's implemented, I will bring it so that you can see existing structure and new structure.
Thank you, because it's quite difficult. And when there's redundancy, that's that's the removal of a post, so that can become conflicting in how it's communicated to us. If I can
just clarify, it's a voluntary redundancy. It's not an enforced redundancy.
It's still somebody leaving through redundancy. So when it comes to the way it's broken down, something else I think would also be helpful. I've made my own guess that secondment post means somebody is being transferred into, and currently on secondment means that they are away in a different department. But if we could actually have some clarification, when people are on secondments, is that we've lost somebody to a department because they're seconding elsewhere, or somebody from another department is seconding to us?
I'm sorry, Chair. Why are we talking about?
I know, it's staffing issues, isn't it?
Staffing issues.
Because it's in our report on
meeting?
page 3. It's on our report.
I can see
page
that,
3.
but these are details that we can take offline.
Issues.
But if that's the case, why is it in our report? Yeah, I've got a report in front of me. I'm asking questions.
What is your
on the report.
precise question?
It says
Williams?
secondment post on the West team, secondment post, and then on the next one, I'm trying to ask it, Chair, if you would let me.
Yeah.
It says currently on secondment. Now, secondment works both ways. So is it that the officers are currently in a different department and therefore we don't have that capacity and compliance? Or is it that we are getting more resources from elsewhere?
Thank you. Let's turn that to Rebecca Smith then to answer.
I don't mind clarifying with general information. So the secondment post of a senior planning compliance officer is a project officer post that somebody has been seconded 6 months ago into the compliance team to deal with a specific project. The planning compliance apprentice is currently on secondment within the shared planning service doing some work on planning applications.
Okay, that's helpful.
Thank you. It's very helpful to know where we're at, because that then conflates, and as a committee, and I can't believe that becomes such a controversial thing to ask, and why members were trying to shut it down, to be quite frank.
Operational. It's operational.
If you don't
it's
want us to
operational.
discuss, if the lead cabinet member doesn't want us to discuss this, perhaps they need to speak as to whether it's in our report or not. But to put something in the report and then a member tries to ask a question and then has to be shut down and told not to ask a question. I didn't say about you, Chair. I'm talking about the cabinet member. It stinks.
It doesn't stink. It's a perfectly
People have been shut
straightforward
down from
report.
asking questions in the report.
Councillor Williams, it was a perfectly reasonable question from you, but it was long, and I was just trying to ask what the exact question was. We've now had an answer, and that's perfectly reasonable. So thank you very much, but don't accuse me of shutting down conversation, which I
was
didn't.
very clear, Chair, that it was the lead cabinet member, not you.
Councillor Williams, thank you. Right, okay, so that's the compliance report. Thank you very much, Chris. That was really helpful. And unless anybody has any other questions to Chris, which I can't see, thank you so much, Chris. That's great. We'll see you next time. Right, so then we move to appeals, and I think Councillor Khan had a question.
Yes, it's simply that I've been dealing with maybe I can't find it, but I've been dealing with an appeal, dealing with an objector to an appeal in Mill Lane, Impington, which is not mentioned on the list of appeals. I just wondered what the state was of the planning service in whether they have submitted their evidence. What's the position on this? It's a written appeal.
In that case, would that be one to direct to Chris?
No, it's a planning appeal. It's a householder appeal. I think we've already communicated about it. Householder appeals are fast-track appeals, so local authorities don't get the chance to submit any statements.
Okay.
They're dealt with through a fast-track appeal process by PINs. So literally they just take the delegated report, okay, and that's all that is dealt with on a fast-track one. I'm not sure why it's not showing on the list of appeals. It should be, but it could be that it came in after this report was run, but I don't think we have a list of appeals that are waiting. Oh, we do have a list of appeals awaiting a decision. It should be on that one, so I'm not sure why it's not on there, so I can look into that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much then. So, that's helpful. Thank you, members. And that's the end of our business of our meeting. So the next meeting will be held on the 11th of February 2026, and we look forward to seeing you then. I close the meeting at 11:43. Thank you very much.
Chair.